You've just completed nursing school and imagine starting your dream job only to find yourself facing a nightmare that could end your career with less than 1 year of being a nurse. This is the reality for a newly graduated nurse in Ohio who has been charged with manslaughter after a tragic incident at a rehabilitation facility and nursing home. What went wrong and how can you avoid similar pitfalls?
And an update today, a nurse is now charged with neglect, also facing charges of involuntary manslaughter and tampering with evidence.
Stay tuned because the information in this video could be the difference between a thriving career and a devastating setback. Hi guys, welcome once again to my channel. My name is Griselda. Welcome to another episode of Struck Off, a series on this channel where we discuss things that health professionals did that put them in trouble, or things that health professionals did that nearly put them in trouble, and then we'll pick some few lessons from these stories. So today's story is really heartbreaking. First of all, I think one, because I'm the same age of this nurse and I have had similar incidences, to what happened to her, and I will explain what I mean. And this could just have been me, so I feel what she's going through at the moment, right? So what happened? Okay, so this story happened in Ohio in the United States as a nursing home, and then we know that in a nursing home in the US is very similar to the nursing home in the UK, right? So I said, why not share the story? So this nurse is a newly qualified nurse with less than a year experience, and this is apparently her second job and is a nursing home, and she was doing the night shift. So she was supposed to report to work at 7 p.m. and close at 7 a.m. However, she was running late. As to why, we don't know. She was running late, so she phoned the day staff as she's supposed to, and then she explained that, oh, I'm going to be late. So the nursing home is two different units, and so the nurse or the nurses who were at the unit where this nurse was supposed to be, they said they could not wait. Probably they had to pick their children up or something, or they had to catch the bus or something, so they had to go. Okay, and I'll talk about that as well later. So they had to leave the unit, and then they gave the keys, the CD keys or the medication trolley keys, to the nurse on the other unit who was now doing her notes. So she was there, she was going to be there for a while. This nurse did not show up at 7:30 p.m. She did not show up at 8 p.m. She did not show at 8:30 p.m. She showed up at 9 p.m. She was 2 hours late, right? So when she went up, she obviously got the keys from the nurse who was still there, and then she started her shift. She gave her medications, and then she did what she would do as a nurse, right? So she realized that one of the residents was not in her room. Good. And the nurse assistant who were there said, oh, we saw her brother here earlier. We think they may have gone out together. So I heard on TikTok in another video that she apparently called the brother, and I guess there was no answer, right? So fast forward, it's 6 a.m. The day staff are going to come anyways, and I think there's a nurse assistant that comes early in the morning to help them with the, getting the residents ready in the morning, like washers and all of that. And she said, I don't think she went with her brother, right? So now this nurse, obviously she panicked, and then she called the day nurse who was supposed to hand over to her in the night, and she did not, and she was running late, right? So they called the day nurse, and the day nurse said, initiate a code purple. So this code purple basically means they're going to search everywhere, go to all the rooms, all the corners in the nursing home, and see if she's stuck somewhere, right? So they initiated that. So just about the time she had also come for the day shift, so she helped them in the search and all of that. She could not find it, but then they found her wheelchair at the door of the nursing home. So they traced, and then they found this woman lying in the cold in winter, right? And it happened just a few weeks ago, and she was lying there, not breathing. So they started CPR, and they phoned the police and all of that, and poor old woman was sent to the hospital, and she was pronounced dead. What a story. So the nursing home is called Warrensville Heights, and it's in Ohio, right? And the name of this poor resident is called Alvera Mary Muti. And according to the postmortem, they said she died due to hypothermia. That's the extreme code, because it was a winter day, it was snowing, and then also due to environmental exposure. This is a very, very heartbreaking way to die. And this nurse, Amber, the newly graduated nurse, is now being charged with involuntary manslaughter and also being charged with tampering with records and gross patient neglect. So why is she being charged with tampering with records? So apparently she documented that she gave this person medication around 8 p.m. Meanwhile, you arrived at 9. Do you think you're not going to be caught? And then that is the tampering of records, and obviously gross neglect, because this woman was neglected for a very long time. So now Amber, I think she's been granted bail now. Obviously they're going to go through the legal process and all of that. But this is the video from the nursing home when the police first went in there after the whole incident and the police was called. This is the body cam footage that has been released.
What kind of training did they give you when you first started here? How long of training was it?
In this clip, the officer is asking about the nurse's training and background.
Trying to think. My training as a new grad.
After long pauses and moments of silence, the nurse had to call her supervisor in the room to answer the officer's questions.
Well, I was asking her how long she was trained here.
So didn't you do a month? Yeah, I did 30 days on days.
30 days
And
of
then
training.
would you do nights at all? 2 weeks on nights?
So as you can see, obviously her words were not even coming out right. And when I watched that part of the video, I got goosebumps because I have felt that way before. When policemen in front of you, there's body cam and somebody's dead and you're being questioned. I have had that incident before. For those of you who have not watched my video on my worst day in the UK, please do watch it. I'll link it as part of the video. But I understand how this nurse feels and she's exactly my age, right? So this is what I will say. This is where everything started going wrong. First of all, when I first moved to the UK, we had some nursing homes, right? The management or the other nurses don't care if somebody's running late and they have to go somewhere. They understand the system. Some people have to catch a bus, they're gonna miss the bus, blah blah blah, so they will understand and then they'll say leave the keys. But it is not right, apparently. So honestly, me, I didn't know that was wrong. I had seen a lot of people do it in the nursing home that I was working. So one time when a nurse was late and she said she was going to be very late, I could not just sit down and wait. I had to catch the bus. At that time I didn't have a car. I had to catch the bus, I had to go and sleep and then prepare to come that same night again. So I waited for a while, she was not coming and I left. And the manager there apparently became aware because she went to the unit and there was no nurse in the unit for a period of time, and that is very risky. That means I neglected the residents there from that time until the other nurse comes. Although I left the keys with the nurse in the other unit, that other unit also has residents that nurse is taking care of. So my unit, now that I was supposed to be there, now there was no nurse. So this is a lesson. You always have to make sure you're handing the patient over to another registered professional and you've handed the keys over to this person. Your job is not done until somebody comes in to take up from you. So that was the first error. And let's also remember that because she did not get a proper handover, because when she came, she was 2 hours late, the nurses had left. She obviously also did not know whether the residents had actually left with the brother or not. Okay, so there was no proper handover. So she also did not know exactly what was going on. So those were the first two errors that happened. And then the third one, this patient is not around. You did not see the residents or the patient, yet she documented that you have given the person medication around 8. You yourself, you were late. You only arrived at the facility around 9. So why have you given? In the UK, I don't know about the US, but in the nursing homes on the mark sheet, there is an option that you can select to state that the person is not available. You have a way to say like the person has gone home, right? The person is not there at the moment. You can put that there instead of just putting it there that you have administered the medication. That is illegal. That is falsified hospital records or documents. And then the worst part is she leaving the thing from 9 p.m. when she came till 6 a.m. the next day. That is over 10 hours. You did not phone the police to search the whereabouts. You did not even call your supervisor to ask what you should do in this situation. And if she did call the brother, when you call the brother and you did not get a response, what did you do? Lessons learned. One, as a nurse, first of all, when you leave for the house, make sure you're handing over your resident or your patient to another nurse before you leave. If there is a supervisor who gives you the go ahead, that's a different story. But if it's a nursing home where it's just one nurse for a shift and you are not there, that is really wrong. You don't have to leave the patients there for whatever. Hand over to a nurse. The second thing is that make sure that you're handing over like appropriate details. Make sure you hand over well. And I learned this from one of the nurses that I used to work with. After every handover or during handover, she would go around all the rooms and see that every patient or every resident is breathing. You don't want to be handed over a dead patient. So make sure that you go around and see that they're breathing. And as a night nurse, you have to make this a habit of checking in on your patients every hour at least. You go into their rooms and then you check that they are breathing. Is there a rise and fall of the chest? Is it an equal rise and fall? Are they breathing well or they are struggling to breathe? And what I realized that, because that also happened to me, oh God, my 5 years in the nursing home, it was a lot. So there was a time that the domestic, or let me say the cleaner in our nursing home came early in the morning and she found a patient sleeping in like a pool of vomit, right? And then she reported me to the manager saying that I clearly did not do my night checks because she came to meet this person very early in the morning in that, and there was no report of that or no record of that. And it looked at the vomit happened in the night. So that means I didn't check on the patient. And I was asked to do a supervision. I had to sign a lot of forms, blah, blah, blah. And on the supervision form, what I learned that I was supposed to do was that every single night I have to go into every person's room. And even those that have turned their light out, or those that want their light out during the night, I have to use their pet light and then, just scan around the room and see if they are breathing and if they are okay. This particular patient in question had capacity, and in the person's care plan, it stated that he doesn't want to be bothered in the night when he's asleep. He doesn't want to be checked on regularly. And that was my defense. However, I was still asked to do the supervision, which I appreciate, right? So if I get up to go and pee, before I come back to sit on my chair, I have gone through all the rooms to check if everybody's breathing. If, sometimes you're feeling too tired, I get up, I go and check. The nurse assistants or the care assistants I work with are also supposed to do their hourly checks. But if they don't do it, maybe they are not doing it, right? But you also have to do your hourly checks every single time. In certain hours, especially for people that are critically ill, I check on them more than one time in an hour. People that I'm not so happy with, maybe they look a bit unusual, I'll check on them more than one time in an hour. So guys, you really need to do your checks, your hourly checks. And if they hand over a patient to you and then they tell you that this person was not feeling too well during the day, start your shift with that patient. Go and check on that patient. Start by doing a set of observations on that patient. What's their blood pressure? What's their oxygen saturation? Before you even start with the medications. The medications can wait. The medications can wait. Check on the very sick one and see how they are doing. Check their blood sugar. Check how are they. Do you have to call an ambulance even before you start your medication? Do that first. And for those that are critically ill, check up on them even more often. And if you have any concerns, I always say in this track of series, you have to overreact rather than underreact. Call an ambulance, call the police, go all 100 yards, and then they will say, you are mama, you exaggerate things. It's better. You just started nursing and now you find yourself in this dilemma. The other nursing that I will say is that another similar thing that happened to me was one time I was in a nursing home doing my night shifts. I did night shifts in the nursing home for about 4 years, right? And one time I got a random call in the middle of the night, let's say around 3 a.m. I had a call, and the call was from a random person who lived near the nursing home, right? And this person was like, I am outside now and I am seeing an elderly man. He doesn't even know his name. He's in his pajamas. He's elderly. I think he's a bit confused. And because the nursing home is very close to where I found him, I'm just thinking maybe he could be one of your residents. I'm like, Jesus Christ. My heart, I think I stopped breathing for a while, for a minute. So can you please confirm if this is a patient? First of all, this person is an old, frail person and does not even know his name or where he is or where he came from. He's so confused. And in my nursing home, we have a dementia unit and several residents with that same description. So I'm like, God, can I take your number and call you back? So I took this person's number, I thanked her, and I did a search. I searched every room to see if everybody was there. And then once my unit was perfect, I went downstairs, I called. In fact, I think I called the nurse in the other unit to do a check as well. And immediately I finished with my check with my carers. We went downstairs again to help the other nurse check her unit as well to see that everybody was there. And thankfully, everybody was on their beds, sleeping and snoring away. So I phoned this lady back and I said, everybody is there. Thank you so much, right? And then we had to make sure that our door was really locked. That's another thing. So in this particular nursing home, apparently when the lady left by herself, the alarm did not blow off. So that's another security breach, right? This was supposed to not have happened. The alarm was supposed to go off when the person, closed the door, but it did not go off. So I would say that if you're a nursing home nurse and you're doing the night shifts, in my nursing home, check your policy. But in my nursing home, we shut the doors and we close and we lock everything up. Sometimes when the day staff come, they have to ring the bell for us to go open them. You have to do that. Even with our units, we have locks that use codes. So that most of the dementia patients, they won't be able to punch in the code anyways, but we still make sure that even after that particular door with a code, we still use the one that has locks and all of that and lock them and secure them around 10-11 p.m. And sometimes when there's a relative still in one of the rooms, immediately the person leaves, we do that. So please, I don't know the policy of your nursing home, but with regards to door locks and security and all of that in the night, please check on that. Please check on that. If you have benefited from this video, if you have any lessons that you have learned aside the ones that I have mentioned, please share them in the comments below. We help each other. And who is really at fault here? I feel so bad for this nurse. I honestly feel so bad for this nurse. She obviously did not know the seriousness of a patient not being in her room for that long. She thought, oh, she's probably with a family. And that is really, really bad. If you're expecting a patient to come back from a family visit and the person has not showed up, go all the 9 yards. Like, call everybody just to make sure the patient comes back. I know how nursing homes can be. And the thing is, she was a lone worker. She was the only nurse on duty in the night, although she has had her training for 30 days during the day and for some nights as well. Like, if she had somebody with her, the other person could have said, no, I think we should call the family again, or we should call the police. But they did not contact anybody else, nobody. This is really sad. Let me know what your thoughts are in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.